Last time I showed you 10 cool plugins, now I'm going to show you 10 free plugins I used on my song Future Men. Of course, these are all cool as well.
Bro, what are future men?
We don't see anything but the past. We are future men.
Let's start with some reverbs. This first plugin is called ADverb. It's a legacy plugin by Audio Damage, so it's not supported anymore, but it works well on Windows. And I have it on these vocals.
We can't see anything but the past.
Before I'm sending the vocals to a reverb, they're going through this de-esser. So the S's don't clutter up the reverb. Then it goes into ADverb, our first free plugin. And then it goes right into our second free reverb plugin, Valhalla Supermassive. Let's just disable Valhalla for a moment so we hear ADverb.
We can't see anything but the past.
That's just the wet signal. Let's hear the vocals without reverb.
We can't see anything but the past.
And with.
We can't see anything but the past. We saw the wind turning around and around and around.
And then I'm adding Valhalla Supermassive. How does this sound? Let's disable ADverb. Just listen to Valhalla Supermassive.
We saw the wind turning around and around. The man. We saw the wind turning around and around and around. We are.
You hear this? Psychedelic delay. That's what this is doing.
The man.
I also used the same chain with ADverb and Valhalla Supermassive on these vocals.
Future man. Future man.
I think this is nice, kind of lo-fi, but it also gives a lot of dimension to the vocals. Reverb number 3, my favorite free reverb, is Giant Verb. But what am I using it on? Here?
We could have been gone so far away by now, but we seem to be out of time.
You see on this lead vocal, I have quite many different reverbs. It's also going through the ADverb or ADverb probably send. It's going through a delay. Let's disable this one. And it's other times going through this stratus. And here is Giant Verb.
We could have been gone.
Now it's just Giant Verb. Dry, it sounds like this.
We could have been gone so far away by now.
With Giant Verb.
We could have been gone so far away by now, but we seem to be out of time.
And you see how I'm automating the feedback right here? This right here. I'm automating this parameter. And so towards the end of this phrase, this reverb gets busier and busier and bigger and bigger. And then it fades out again. This is a really cool effect. In context.
We could have been gone so far away by now, but we seem to be out of time.
In this mix, you can't hear it as well. Go listen to the actual song on Spotify or anywhere on YouTube. I think there you can hear it better. I've messed up this mix a bit. It's like a backup project. And also, I did something else. See right here? I put Giant Verb on the master. This is the automation curve for the dry-wet mix. To fade out the song with some atmosphere, I'm just turning up the wet amount on the plugin.
Our destination has already been set.
Yeah. Put Giant Verb on your master and you're going to get tens of streams like I did. And I have a fourth reverb for you, Epic Plate by Variety of Sound, and I have it on this guitar. Yeah. The thing is, I wanted the guitar to be on the right side. That would sound like this, without any reverb. Or like this. But I wanted to put some reverb on it that doesn't clutter it up. and also maybe something to balance the left-right image a bit. So I put the epic plate reverb mostly on the left. That's the fourth free reverb plugin I used on the song. Now let's move on to instruments. I actually surprised myself with this. I ended up using the free monster drums, specifically Gassanova's Lin kit on the song. I put some effects on it to be completely transparent. Is it dry? Sounds pretty good. And then it goes through a T-Rex Wide 2A, some EQ, and some reverb on it. I made a whole other video about how I ended up using monster drums and how I was a bit conflicted about it. You can check it out here. I'm never sure which side it is. The second free instrument I used in the song is Arido 3.33 by Solcito Musica. This is probably my favorite synth, at least my favorite additive synth, at least my favorite free additive synth. I love the presets in it and I love how it sounds generally, but I had some issues with it. In this synth part, there are some pitch bends and they didn't render properly, so I had to real-time bounce these three synth instances, basically convert it to audio because exporting it offline didn't work properly. That's always kind of a challenge when working with free plugins, I find. They're not as reliable, but also paid plugins aren't always as reliable as you would hope. I'll touch on that in a moment, actually. But yeah, these are my three instances of Arido. They sound like this. I think this is so good. Yeah, they also have some effects on there. Novel Tag Character, which is actually a cool plugin. Maybe I should have featured it in my cool plugins video. And JPME, which is a reverb I got for free, but it's not actually free. They gave it away at some point. I also have issues with this plugin, by the way. Sometimes it crashes my DAW. Context. These are all the free instruments I used on this song though. Let's move on to compressors now. Number 7 could have been, should have been, would have been LALA by Analog Obsession, which I used on these keys. Electrics by Sampleson. Bypassed. Enabled. Bypassed. I think this sounds pretty good, but I didn't originally plan on using LALA. I planned on using T-Rex Y2A, and they do sound different, but I did have some issues with the T-Rex Y2A. I had some clicks, and I had to switch compressors, and I think I'm going to talk about that in a separate video because it's quite involved and we can get lost in details. So let's just move on to the actual number 7, which is also by Analog Obsession, FETish, their 1176 clone, and I used it on the guitar. It's interesting because doing these guitars, I was quite in a rush. I had to get a sound going quickly because I had to record my bandmate Ian. And I think I just slapped this compressor on there. And I have to say, it really handles the dynamics of the guitar playing really well. And let's compare this again. Or this part. I think it works great. I put it on there and I never had any more desire to go back to it. Yeah, it's in 1176. These are the compressors. And now for my final category that I want to talk about in this video. Category number 4 is spatial effects / widening. But not spatial in the sense of reverbs. The first one I want to show you. You probably know it. Wider by Polyverse. I have it on this shaker, for example. Yeah, it modifies the panning in a nice way. I also have it on this instance of Massive. And wider enabled. Bypassed. Enabled. That's what I mean with this category, spatial effects / panning, because wider, to me, I actually use it like a panning thing. When I think the center image is too cluttered, maybe with the lead vocals and some drums and then even a piano or whatever, I use wider to like push some information more towards the side. And I do like the sound of it in pretty much every case. Next up, and we're already at number 9, Panagement 2 by Auburn Sounds. This is a binaural panner and reverb, and with cool LFO stuff. Again, I use this on electrics to get it into the position I wanted. If you listen to electrics dry, this is a huge signal. A lot of low end takes up the whole stereo spectrum. I had to confine this a bit. So I used some EQ, some compression, and also Panagement to get it to sound like this. Let's bypass just Panagement. And enabled. Bypassed. Enabled. Bypassed. Let's just go a bit more extreme. With keyboards, pianos, I would never really recommend using the regular panning, because oftentimes you have stereo mics or at least simulated stereo mics, so you're losing information. So I would always use either dual pan the 2 channels separately, or use a binaural pan. But I didn't use the built-in one, I just used a third-party free panner. And now the last plugin, number 10, also free plugin of course. By the way, I think it's really interesting. I finally found a use for these plugins. Air Hybrid 3, Ancient Synth, and Vacuum Pro, also by Air. And I also have Wider on Air and Pancake. This is our 10th free plugin, also for spatial stuff and panning. Let's just listen to the synth dry. I think that sounds great. Let's add the keyboard just for a bit of context. And then I used some basic EQ. I used the wider. Let's hear it like this. I added some reverb. And then I used our 10th free plugin, which is Pancake 2 by Cableguys, a basic auto panner. And in this context, I think it really sounds great. Yeah, it does what you thought it would do. But let's listen to it in context.
The neon sign is guiding us with hopes of reaching the sound of the
These are 10 free plugins I used on Future Man by Baron Lane. Consider checking out the song. Consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. And yeah, see you again soon.